patriot. Gene, Virginia, you're on the Wilkow Majority. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I just called because, I'm in my 60s now. I saw all those assassinations that happened in the 60s. And I liken the tone and the mood in the country to the way it was discussed at that time, even though I was very young. There was a certain amount of hatred in the air. You could cut it with a knife. And I've been very worried about that for a number of years. And I just want to say that whether you're on the right or the left or you're an independent, being American is definitely first. And to call each other traitors and Nazis and not discuss with each other the facts, we all want to get to the same place.
If hold on, that's not true. We don't all want to go to the same place. If we have a faction in this country who are trying to drag this country as far away from the Constitution as they can get it for whatever reason, then no, I do not stand with those people, and I will not be polite to them.
Well, your interpretation of the Constitution could be different.
There is no interpretation. We know exactly what it says. What is this interpretation, Gene? Tell me the interpretation. Hold on, Gene. Tell me about this interpretation. We know what it says. We know what the founders were getting at. They documented why they did what they did when they did it. We can all read it for ourselves. What is this concept of interpretation?
When you write words, okay, you are trying to put in words something that will last a long time to guide people. You can look at our founding fathers, read their documents, read their notes and letters, read past presidents, and you can find out that our Constitution isn't perfect. It is a work in progress.
Well, hold on a second. The only way to change the Constitution is through the amendment process. Not a court case, not an executive order, not even a piece of legislation. The states have to be involved. Yet we've got these people who on one hand say words have meaning unless, of course, they're written down in the Constitution. Then we can make them say whatever we want them to say.
But whatever words I use, you're going to interpret them in your way. It's not going to be exactly what I'm meaning to say.
Then say it plainly. If you say something, Gene, hold on. I'll give you all the time. If you say something direct and deliberate and say, this is exactly what I'm trying to say, how can I interpret what you're saying any other way?
When they just read the Constitution on the floor of the House, they did not read the original Constitution. That should tell you right there why it's a work in progress.
But that progress is only to be made through the amendment process. We don't get just to say, oh, well, something happened on such and such a date. Well, the Constitution doesn't apply anymore, okay? It applies.
Always applies. But just as it was written that a slave was considered 3/5 of a person or something like that, I noticed that
and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment have eliminated that language.
And to say that women aren't covered under the Constitution is absolutely ridiculous.
And again, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment.
Yes, that's why we make amendments.
But we're not talking about amendments here. We're talking about government. We're talking about government power by fiat.
The amendments have been made to make our Constitution
But the amendments,
better.
The only way to have an amendment is to go through the constitutional process.
Absolutely.
But that's not what they're talking about in Washington. They are creating powers in Washington that they simply do not have.
The people on the left or the center or the right, I do not believe, unless they're completely out of their minds, they do not want a better future for their children and grandchildren than we currently are facing. And so unless we discuss facts and stop calling each other traitors and names, we will never get anywhere.
But Gene, if somebody is a socialist or a Marxist, I'm going to call them that. If they are talking about the state control of industry, the nationalization of factories, the takeover of the banking system or the healthcare system, if they are getting their ideas from communism, I'm going to call them communists. If they don't like being called communists, they shouldn't be communists then. The idea that, well, now communist is a pejorative word and you can't use that to describe exactly what it is that we're doing with no power to do it, I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. It's funny how these people are only worried now. Now they're worried. They weren't worried when Hollywood was producing fantasy films about assassinating President Bush, hanging Sarah Palin in effigy, making Bush the devil, making Bush the Joker, making Bush Hitler. None of this stuff made them uncomfortable. Nothing that they did made. As a matter of fact, you know what the worst part is? I think some of these people, in their hearts, they just want to feel good about politics. And they say, oh, look, liberals want to give health care to everyone. Oh, I just, that makes me feel so good. They ignore that what they're talking about is using the authority of government. 1-866-95-PATRIOT.